People thought they knew her, a beautiful woman chasing recognition in the city of dreams. But in January 1947, Elizabeth Short's story took a turn so dark, it would haunt Los Angeles forever. A discovery so unsettling it stopped a city in its tracks. A mystery so enduring that decades later, no one has solved it. And maybe someone never wanted it solved. This is not just a story of a tragic loss. It is a puzzle, a warning, and possibly a cover-up. This is the story of the Black Dahlia. It was January 15th, 1947. The sky over Los Angeles was overcast but calm. On a quiet street near Leimert Park, a woman was walking with her young daughter. Then she saw it, a shape lying in the grass, still pale. At first she thought it was a mannequin, a display discarded from a department store. It was not. Within hours, the site was swarming with investigators and reporters. The scene had been staged, deliberately. There was no visible trace of harm nearby, no clear trail. But fingerprints revealed the identity. Her name was Elizabeth Short. This story would become one of the most infamous unresolved cases in American history. And decades later, it still has no ending, only questions. But who was Elizabeth Short? And why did her story capture the public imagination? To understand the mystery, you must understand the woman behind the name. Elizabeth was born in Massachusetts in 1924, the third of 5 sisters. She had dark hair, pale skin, and dreams far bigger than the town she came from. Her father disappeared when she was young, assumed gone forever, only to write her years later, alive in California. That letter changed everything. Elizabeth moved west. Like so many others, she came chasing the fantasy of Hollywood. The promise of light, of recognition, of escape. She went by Beth, sometimes by Betty, but to most who would come to know her story, she would only be remembered as the Black Dahlia. The nickname was a dark twist on a film title. Friends said she often dressed in black, wore flowers in her hair. She had a mystique that followed her, sometimes charming, sometimes tragic. She drifted from diner booths to hotel rooms, from San Diego to Hollywood. She was known to carry herself like a starlet, always composed, always graceful, even when sleeping on borrowed couches. Beth had no steady job, but she had presence, and that, in Los Angeles, is its own kind of currency.
The last confirmed sighting of Elizabeth Short was at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles on the evening of January 9th. She was seen using the payphone, waiting. But for what or for whom, no one knows. She vanished into the night. 6 days later, she was found. The details of what happened in that missing week have never been fully revealed. Only fragments exist. Clues, shadows, whispers. Some believe she had grown fearful in her final days, that she felt watched, that she had secrets. Others say she had simply run out of luck. The media transformed her into a character, a noir tragedy for the front page. The public could not look away. If you have made it this far, what do you think? Coincidence? Or something more troubling? Let us know what your theory is. But the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the story became. Her belongings had been mailed to a newspaper in a box, carefully cleaned, doused in cleaning fluids. Her birth certificate, photos, an address book, and a note. Its letters cut from magazines. Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow. Whoever sent it wanted to be known, but not found. Dozens were questioned. Several men were named. One of them, Red Manley, was the last person to see Beth alive. He passed a polygraph. He was cleared, but his life was never the same. Another man confessed, then recanted. One caller claimed the authorities themselves were involved. But one name kept returning: George Hodel. A physician, wealthy, respected, eccentric. His son, Steve Hodel, would grow up to become a detective, and he became convinced that his own father was responsible. George had medical training, he had access. He threw lavish parties, attracted artists and intellectuals. But there were rumors. And behind the walls of his ornate home, whispers grew louder. Steve discovered that investigators once wiretapped George Hodel's house. On one recording, his father was heard saying, "Supposin' I did something to the Black Dahlia." They could not prove it now. They cannot talk to my secretary because she is no longer here. Strange, chilling, but not conclusive. If you are finding this case as fascinating as we do, you might want to subscribe. We uncover stories that others leave buried. Years later, trained dogs were brought to the property. They alerted to the scent of remains, and in one of George's photo albums, Steve claims there was a picture of Elizabeth Short. Though experts remain divided on whether the photo was really her. What do you think? Could a respected doctor have gotten away with such a tragedy, hidden in plain sight? Even the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office later admitted if this evidence had come to light earlier, they would have considered filing charges. But George Hodel was never formally accused, and he passed away a free man. The trail went cold, again, and so we returned to the beginning. To a girl with dreams, to a case with no end, to a city that watched and forgot and remembered again. If this mystery still haunts you, tell us in the comments. Do you believe the truth was buried or protected? 70 years later, the mystery of the Black Dahlia continues to inspire books, documentaries, and speculation. But it also asks something deeper. How do we remember those who vanish? And who controls the story they leave behind? Some believe the answers lie buried in official records. Others think it was all meant to remain a riddle, a message with no signature. But maybe, just maybe, the truth is closer than we think, waiting, watching, just like the city that never sleeps. If you want more stories like this, do not forget to like, share, and stay with us for the next mystery. Stay curious, stay aware, and stay watching.